네, 안녕하세요. 예, 전시 기획하고 있는 서준호입니다. 예, 시작하는 걸로. 예, 반갑습니다. 예. Guten Morgen, Herr König. Do you hear me?
Guten Morgen.
Good morning.
Yes, I hear you well.
Yeah. My name is Juno, the director of Gallery Onyuar, and sometimes I work as a independent curator. So I organized the NFT special exhibition for Art Busan 2022. So I was invited to these conversations. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's our great pleasure you joined to our conversation. And I already introduced about you and how you has been very actively, just made lots of interesting projects after the COVID-19, burst of the COVID-19, and just the kind of the exhibition on the metaverse and blah blah. So anyway, our conversation is 1 hour. So for 30 minutes, we would like to listen what kind of the project you has been making with your artist and through your gallery related to the online kind of the related project. Then after your presentation, here Juno is in here, so you will make a sure kind of the Q&A section or the conversation together with Juno. Okay, if you are ready, yeah, please start.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Looking forward to the questions and the conversation. So let me share my screen. I will walk you through the activities by König Galerie in sort of the crypto world, Decentraland and the NFT space. This is our sort of main flagship space in Berlin, in the center of Berlin. It's a former Catholic church. We run galleries in London, Seoul, Vienna, and mainly Berlin. Please come visit us in Seoul. We are in Gangnam, and we have an Austin Wiener show right now. We are on the 4th floor, I think, or 5th floor of the MCM building, and also have a rooftop sculpture garden, which is very beautiful. Sort of concept was thinking about digital art is that digital art should also have a digital space. We understand our role as a gallery as someone who's providing space, and that space can be an exhibition space, or it can be a podcast, or a sculpture garden, or a magazine. So we try to provide a platform for artists, and that's also possible in the digital realm. And so what you see here to the right as a comparison here on top is a physical building in Berlin, which is a former church built in 1964 by Werner Düttmann, who was a very important Berlin architect. And what we did here is we transformed the church into a gallery space. And what we did here is we transformed the physical space into a digital one, a little bit more than a year ago. So, and the great thing about the metaverse, and in this case Decentraland, is that you have possibilities to realize artistic projects which are not that easy to do in real. So the architect and artist you see here is Manuel Rossner. So he continued physical space into the digital one. Here you see an installation view. And that's actually also, you can come visit. You need to have a regular computer to enter Decentraland. You can't do it on a mobile device. And we did this to understand how digital art can be displayed. Kenny Schechter, who's I think also speaking on this panel, he was also part of the show. And interesting is that the efforts are quite similar to a regular show. Production, installation. Everything evolved from the exhibition The Artist is Online, which was a group show created by Annika Meyer and myself, exploring contemporary artists in sculpture and painting on the edge of physical and digital activity. We still have this space in Decentraland and programming solo exhibitions there. Another activity was that we created an app. For example, Claudia Comte, she filled the entire gallery space with water so that you swim in the space. So these are these examples of things you can do in the virtual you can't do in real. This is Katharina Grosse. She's a very established painter and or works with painting and large space installations. And with her, we did a project which you see here, at least a reference, because that's something you need to sort of interact with yourself. So what these are stills from the NFT. So Katharina created this NFT. What we did here is there was a sculpture here. You see behind this one, there was a physical bronze sculpture lying in the space, and we 3D scanned this sculpture and animated it that it's like flying in the room. And so Katharina did two works. Danai, kannst du mir mal das Ding da geben? Die Arbeit von Katharina. So she did two works which involves the spectator's hands. So one piece is this one here, which I hope you can see. So this is a painting printed on aluminium we did with König editions, which you are invited then to crumble together and put it on a wherever, you know, on your shelf, on a plinth or so. And the other one was this NFT, and both works benefited the acquisition of a work for the permanent collection. So, and these things, besides the possibility of creating this experiential NFT with Stefan Schneider, who's a music composer she's working with, you have these great opportunities to build communities, to create, fundraising. So you have the physical sculptures in the permanent collection now, and it was partly financed by the sale of the NFT. This is Erwin Wurm, who's a quite popular artist, I think also in Korea. He's a sculptor, and I think it was a 20 or 30 year anniversary by coincidence of his Fat Car. So let me also show you this. So here he did an animation of car, where a breathing Porsche, which is like gaining weight and reducing weight. So he's very interested in this idea of sculpture, and when we eat, we gain weight. When we're on a diet, we lose. So that like modulating, he did this fat house and fat car, and it's his idea of volume and material. And interesting, in the process of doing this, he said that originally, when he wanted to do this car, he went to General Motors to work with them on, like Opel in Germany, but it's a General Motors company, to work with them on with a computer to simulate how that would look, but it wasn't possible. So he really did it manually, and this is the work we sold. The way we sold these NFTs, Katharina and Erwin, was in the mechanics of a 24-hour drop. So both works were only available for 24 hours. And back then we minted on the blockchain, Flow blockchain, which we are, that had to do also because we wanted to, so when we did this exhibition, the Artists Online, which I showed you before in Decentraland, we sold the work via an auction on OpenSea. Worked financially well, but it only worked for crypto natives because a lot of, I would say, like old school legacy collectors, they had a hard time entering that space. So we thought we need to find a solution that we can accept fiat payment, which means credit card, wire transfer, but still sell NFTs. So then we worked with Dapper Labs together, which is a great company, and fantastic people who are very like the early, they did like crypto kitties and they do NBA Top Shots, but it's more like a consumer good product. And they helped us to develop a way that we can sell NFTs via credit card. And the problem is that the Flow blockchain, maybe it's a little bit too much details. It's anyway, long story short, we are collecting all these tokens now, Katharina and Erwin, and remint them on Ethereum. Same applies here for Refik Anadol, who's probably the most prominent NFT artist who's also sort of respected and recognized by the art world. He did an interesting project with us where he did 3 NFTs, and when you acquired all 3 NFTs, you received these 3 NFTs as prints he printed and signed in the studio. And I find this, you know, when you think of you want to buy a high demand artwork, you only have access to it if you somehow have proven that you're loyal to the gallery, that you have an important collection, that you're not flipping. And all these mechanics we know in the art market anyway, possible to reflect digitally on the blockchain. So Daniel Arsham, also an artist we work with, he built a mechanism that you could only buy a certain an NFT if you had already owned one and had it in your wallet. So if you bought it and flipped it, you couldn't buy it because he only wanted this NFT to go to collectors who sort of hold on to his work. This is our most recent project, and I think the most spectacular one. This is Alicia Quade. She's a prominent sculptor from Polish descent living in Berlin. We just recently had a solo exhibition with her at König Soul and Pace in both galleries. Quite a large show. Unfortunately, Alicia and we couldn't come because of you know why. So Alicia is an artist who's very much in systems, how our world is run, how our life is structured by days, by money, by gravity, you know, all these like forces of nature forces, or also invented rules which structure our life. So she's quite like philosophically working, and what she did here is that she actually, maybe I can play a film. Hast du mir den geschickt?
Alicia Quade is a prominent German artist from Polish descent. Alicia has shown her work internationally in Desert X, Metropolitan Museum, Langen Foundation, Alula, Berlinische Galerie, and many other museums. Alicia Quade is a conceptual artist who's fascinated with system and rules and doubting all systematic logics of our life. If it's currency, gravity, or time, and in this case, even our own existence.
This is my show in absence. What is the main piece here is what you can see all over the walls. Starting on this left corner up there, it's all of my DNA code. You can see all these letters, right? Like covering all the space. And you can also see like the, you know, this little difference, which is making me myself. And these are these mutations, which are printed bold here. I decided to continue the show after it ends and to extend this concept and to use this technique of blockchain and NFT to spread my DNA all over the globe, like in seconds, like I am an NFT. This physical show, you know, will somehow be sucked in the ether and then able to be bought in at Ethereum, and you will get a PDF and a PNG to print it out. So you have like quite a big art piece actually of like about 2.5 and 2.5 meters.
About 20 years ago, they presented the first human genome sequence, and that costed about $3.7 billion US dollars. And now you can, about 20 years later, you can do it for like 500 euros, and it takes 3 days.
In this case, I very much, you know, like this very it's a very clear situation that this is everything you can know about myself somehow. This is all you can have to describe myself. There can't be kind of, told more about it. But of course there is much more magic even behind, because even if you know the DNA, even if you know all informations that you can get, you don't know anything. And I think this is also what art is somehow.
So the project is the ultimate self-portrait of Alicia Quade, because it's her own DNA printed out on 269,000+ pages. And you buy an ERC 721 token. So it's an NFT, a non-fungible token, which is a digital asset on the Ethereum blockchain. And the underlying asset is a PDF which contains 25 unique pages. Each NFT represents one of these 25 pages on an IPFS server, so always accessible. You can trade this NFT and you can put it up your wall and don't need to care about conservation, because the actual underlying asset, unlockable content, is contained via the NFT on a PDF.
So, yeah, and I think that this is a very great example how there are fantastic conceptual NFTs possible. So, because in fact, it's like a digital information. These letters are digital information, and then she made this artistic choice to present them. Print them out on papers with the smallest possible type font, which you can still read. And then interesting now is we see slowly, so we dropped it a week ago, and we sell it at 0.1 ETH, which is about 250 euro, a little bit less now. And the interesting thing is that all these different, so as probably many of you know, in these most popular projects like CryptoPunks or Bored Ape Yacht Club, it's always about these rarities and how often does the head appear and how often does one has a golden suit and things like this. And whatever you think of it, it's a strong market. And it also sort of mirrors rarities and other relevances we see in the collecting of contemporary art or art, any form of collecting. And with this project in particular, I think it's very interesting that you have these rarities by nature, because, and we will see where the market goes, some works are, like some of these 25 patterns, pages have patterns by her a lot, so where she's a lot present, and others which are super rare where she's not present. While the project is continuously minted, more and more rarities become clear, and I think that this is a great example of the possibilities we have with this new technology, and where it's going, and that there's that there will be great additions we can't even think of by artists to be created. And another great aspect, I think, is that now all these different tokens are with various collectors, and the possibility is now that we can reward them, that we can send them airdrops, create a certain community around this, and this is something Alicia is thinking of how to develop further. Yeah, I would say that's it for now, and I'm very happy to be in conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I have some questions, people who wondering. So what did you use the NFT platform, OpenSea or SuperRare?
No, we use our own platform. So we, as a separate venture, I founded Misa.art, which is a marketplace for contemporary art, physical and digital, and fractionalization, NFTs, and sort of drops, where we artists produce a limited edition, hand finished, only for a certain time. But these NFTs now by Alicia, we sell it on königgalerie.com, which is our website, but they are, you can trade them on any marketplace because they're on the Ethereum blockchain.
Then you have your own platform. So you have a gallery and also the platform. So
the great thing with minting NFTs is that you actually don't need a platform for this. You need. So if you want to stay in the crypto space, it's very easy to build infrastructure where you mint NFTs and sell it to someone with a MetaMask. So then you can connect your MetaMask and you buy the NFT. And it goes from one wallet to the other, and the crypto goes in exchange is immediately back and forth. But what we try to do is we try to bridge these different worlds between crypto and physical, I would say. So as you could see with Alicia, you can print out these pages. Of course, you don't have to. You can trade it without. And with Refik, it's like you bought these NFTs, you received the physical. So we try to combine these things. But and that's why we built on our website, königgalerie.com, where we are also selling online art, like Sotheby's or Christie's does, which I'm very surprised that so little galleries do that you can click and buy art. And because we wanted to be able to sell to collectors who have no crypto wallet, because they need to open one when they want to buy the Alicia Quadra, but they pay with credit card and then they receive the NFT.
So actually, from my perspective, I also has been working in the art world for long, and we has been looking at the many different kind of the video artists, digital artists, and also some, movie related, there are lots of the kind of the artists so far. And what do you think, what is the difference between the digital art and the NFT art? Is there any difference, or just NFT is just a platform to sell the digital art? Do you think there is any aesthetic differences, or what do you think?
No, it's a good point. I think it's a big misunderstanding. I think, so to understand a little bit better what happened is, you have a scene of digital artists since, I don't know, long time, 40 years, 50 years being active. And they were not really relevant in the art market because it was simply difficult to sell their work and collect it. Because what do you buy? It's, I often, when I try to explain people the blockchain, I compare it with a real estate market. Imagine you have a real estate market which has no registry, where, like in Germany, we have a Grundbuchamt, and every house is registered and you can look who owns it. And imagine you have a real estate market where you don't have this registry. It's like, okay, I can sell you the house and probably you can use it then, but who knows for certain, And this, I think, is what we see now here with digital art. Of course, digital art was there before, but it didn't play that role in the art market because it was not that fluid. And now, I think this boost comes from the hyper fluidity, because you can buy something and you can sell it the next second. And if you have the chance to sell something, you probably more likely to buy it in the first place. And I think that the NFT is only the technology, which is like the container. You can create ownership and transfer it from A to B. And I think that we will see I mean, so Lewitt, you know, the great American artist, he somehow, with his wall paintings, they are NFTs, you know, because an NFT is only a contract, which is non-fungible. And with So Lewitt, if you own a wall drawing and you have the certificate, you are the owner. And if you lose a certificate, then you're not the owner anymore, and then it's gone. And that's identical with NFTs.
Okay, yes, I agree. Actually, and today morning there was a lecture, kind of the conversation with Mr. Kenny Schechter. You know him, the professor, and he also mentioned that the NFT is nothing. Just it can be some container or deliverer of something. Okay, in this point, I have another question. Then, what do you think the role of the gallery? Actually, some of the people mentioned that NFT art totally changed the art world system, connecting the artist and the collector directly. This is one point. And another point is, somebody says NFT art is totally about the community. Making something is not everything. You know, before in the traditional art market, the artist made the artwork and then show it through the gallery, or you know, actually making the artwork was the job of the artist. But in this NFT scene, artists should communicate, right, and build up the community. Or anyway, just somebody says NFT art is not only about some digital data or something. It's the kind of the phenomenon of to make the community and communicate with the collector directly from the artist's side. So from this perspective, or from this kind of the opinion, we can say that then we can have this question, then what is the role of the gallery, the kind of the person or the kind of the mediator?
So I think when we go back to this understanding that there were these digital artists anyway, and suddenly there was this possibility of selling their work, because most galleries were not so interested in showing digital artists, I think mainly because it was difficult to trade. And now suddenly this changes, and of course, very much as we've seen in the art history, from the Impressionists, but also to the to like Produzenten galleries, you know, where like artists, because no one wanted to show them, opened their own sort of artist collective galleries, and we see this here too. So these platforms evolve from sort of the self-help phenomenon, and I think it's great. I think that art world and art market will profit from more participants. I think that the narrative that it's sort of exclusive and elite is not ideal. So that's why we are also, with our other venture, Misa Art, going into the fractionalization, because we think it's important to make art accessible to a wider audience. And now with NFTs, I mean, everybody can be an artist. And why it's changing the art world fundamentally is because it will have a significant change on the current distribution systems. So, because at some point, beginning artists will wonder, why can't I sell my paintings at eBay, for example, you know, because OpenSea is nothing else than eBay. It's like a crypto eBay. So, and if this new standard will come from one community, it will have an influence on the other one, and I believe anyway it will all merge. So I still think that the role of the gallery is on one side more irrelevant than ever, and more important than ever as well. So as I showed you before, we are having this spectacular brutalist building here in Berlin, and that's an enormous experience to come see these exhibitions here. And that's of course something you can't replace digitally. You know, you can come near to it, but you can't replace this physical experience. And that's something I think that the proposition a gallery needs to make is changing, because in the past, the main proposition a gallery gave to an artist was market access. If you had no gallery, you had no market access. That's not the case anymore with social media and NFTs. And that will also change extremely rapidly. And so your business proposition, because it is a business, and we as a gallery are service provider to artists, it needs to change. If market access is not enough anymore, you need to provide space, management, context, intellectual advice, and so on. Market support, financial resources, and I think foremost like a context and an artistic dialogue. Yeah, this is how I think the role of the gallery will be changing.
So then you work with only digital artist, or some artists kind of painter, they use the real painting at making to the digitalized. It means
So in the art world at the moment, just before in the session 4, we saw the case of the Belvedere Museum who made the kind of the NFT with the Klimt's painting. What do you think about that kind of the experiment? Yeah, there is original work, and then make the digital image of the original work and sell it as a NFT something.
So I think that this is interesting as a revenue model for museums, and also as an element to build community. I don't think it has so much to do with art, but I think it's a great possibility. I'm working on a separate venture right now with my cousin. He runs the biggest art bookshop chain in Europe, actually. So they have art books stores in all important museums. And my father and my uncle, so my cousin's father, Walter König and Caspar König, they founded a postcard publishing house in the 60s or 70s, and did postcards, with like everybody, Gerhard Richter and so on, and Mike Kelly, and some artists made specific postcards for them, and then of course they just did reproductions of Raphael and whatever. So you could have like the whole art history in postcards, which was back then a novelty. And so we are working on a project right now that we sort of sell digital facsimiles. The Belvedere, they fraction it in parts, but we are planning to sell in cooperation with all these museums to sell digital facsimiles of the paintings, so that people can collect like it's like an NFT, like a museum of NFTs, but historical works. I don't think it's so interesting for contemporary art because the reason is to make a painting, and not to make a digital reproduction of a painting. But it's great to build a community. To people can collect these reproductions of historical paintings, and also you can combine great Web3 community building things. You can airdrop things. You can give access to certain areas with a token. You can create passive income for institutions. You can use this utility for certain purposes. Let's say there's a painting which needs to be restored. You can make you can sell a Genesis a token, which then will be replaced with a reproduction of the restored painting. Or there are like endless ideas of what to do.
Yeah, there can be lots of the different kind of the usage of the kind of the NFT technology, right? So as you mentioned, in case of the historical painting, maybe we can have the digitalized postcard, and
yes.
yeah, it can be sold in the NFT system platform. But in case of the contemporary art, as he mentioned, it is not so interesting. So maybe you never try, or you will never try to make the NFT with your painting artist, right?
No, what we do is we do security tokens. So you buy a painting, and you receive a security token of that painting, and of course it's a digital reproduction, you know, and then you can trade this token, and the token is like a voucher for the physical painting. So
then what do you think? It sounds like there is no big difference between that NFT and the certificate.
Yeah, the difference is you can't sell a certificate.
Okay.
You know, if you have a certificate, you know why this market is so booming is, so you buy a painting with us in Berlin, you ship it to Busan, you short 5,000 euro, you know, or maybe 3. Then you decide you live with it, you know, and I don't know, maybe you move to LA, you have to move it to LA, and then maybe you move another time, you know, all this cost resources. So let's say you like a contemporary nomad and you live all over the world, but you want to collect art. So you buy this painting from us, we keep it for you, you receive the token, and I don't know, your house is finished in 3 years, you receive it, you borrow it to exhibitions, whatever. So, but then at some point you eventually decide to sell it after our non-sale agreement is over, or I don't know what. So then you can sell the token, you know, it's like you don't need to even move the painting. And then also the token, for example, is ready for fractionalization. You can just sell shares of it. So, but this is all economy, you know, it's not, it's just market question. I don't think it's artistically interesting, but it is in the long run interesting, because the bigger the market gets, the more artists will be living of their own practice. I think this is the biggest advantage, that the access to the market is not anymore only for the elite and for the heavy stakeholders. You know, that's the whole idea of Web3. So Web3 is, you have the mega companies in you know, you have Amazon, Google, Apple, and the MAGA brands, you know, they own we produce content, they own it, and they advertise on it, you know, it's like top down. And what will change now is that we will have it's somehow, I don't know, capitalistic socialism, you know, because we are like all because of this ownership possibility, it's the power is changing.
That means the gallery's role is quite different. The different with the past, and then it's like a IT company. The gallery, you make your own token.
No, we did not issue our own coin yet, and that's a big thing to do. We are thinking about it with Misa, with like our other company, which we are. I mean, it's not our company anymore. We are. It's going to be a real venture. We are doing how you call it, like a capital raise right now, and speaking to various investors to make a real larger company out of it. The gallery, we because you said before, digital artists, we are really old school gallery. And because I understood that this is like sort of an NFT panel, I presented our activities in that space, but that's only a small part of our activity. We are brick and mortar old school gallery, representing artists, managing their careers, mainly focusing on placing them in museums and important collections, and building their market on a steady and nachhaltig, what that mean, like sustained way?
I think there are lots of the possibilities in this new kind of the field. So it seems like you are a very open person, I think. So you are checking and trying lots of the different possibilities very actively. But still, art is art. So as you began your presentation, it was quite impressive. He has a gallery, but at the same time, he made a space in the metaverse to show his artist. So he said still the gallery is about the space. What is the space? Platform. But we have not to confuse that platform as a commercial platform, just to kind of the connecting the artist and the audience, or kind of the showing the kind of the works of the artist. And also he mentioned in the middle, the role of the gallery is still not only kind of the dealing or the selling, just to communicate together with the artist and the managing the artist or the support the artist and kind of the to be the friend of the artist and share the kind of the idea together and develop together, making the experiment together. I think even though there are lots of the new possibility of the NFT world, lots of the money issue related investment and blah blah, but still I feel like from Johann's kind of the presentation and from his comment, still the role of the gallery is the same as before. Am I right?
Yes and no. I think that that it's, as I said before, so what we as galleries have to offer is I think most of the galleries will need to work on their propositions, because what you really got to offer as a gallery, if you want to have 50% of the sale, you need to offer something significant, and because when you can sell at 2.5% on OpenSea, and but I think it's great because it will allow more artists to enter the space, and I think that's only a great thing.
Okay, thank you so much for your participation. The time is already a little over. So if there is any question from the audience, I think there is there any question or anything? Okay, thank you so much for today, and I expect lots of the great further new experiment from your gallery in this field.
Thank you very much.
And hope to see you in Korea later. Okay, bye.
Bye.